did not go further down. It turned around and started heading back up. Crude oil. Okay, at the end of the room, we had over here. I didn't draw it on, but at the end of the room, it was, what was it? It was right here. We ended up getting 3 ticks profit on this, right at the end. Yeah, there wasn't that much opportunity today on crude. We missed this one. We got a break even here. We got 1 tick profit right there. And we got 3 ticks profit over here. Okay, during the break, there was a bounce off the BBC right here during the break for about 4 or 5 ticks. A momentum short here that went 4 ticks. Might have gotten 1 or 2 out of that. And that was it during the break on the crude oil. Okay, the soybeans, this was our first opportunity of the day right here. It was a bounce off the BBC. It had pulled back a little bit and we got in on the pullback here. We got 4 ticks profit out of that. All right, we locked in 4 on that. Then it changed directions on us and it started moving down. I didn't want to short off the BBC right here because we weren't really trending. I was looking way back here and it wasn't really trending. It looks like there was a lot of buying pressure right here. It worked out anyway. If you did do it, it worked out, but there was no follow-up. Yeah, there's really nothing here. If you took this bounce right here, it looks like the slingshot was not right, so it would have been right here is where the bounce would have been, and you would have gotten a break even on that right there. Okay, that was soybeans. Now the ES, once again, the ES was a total dog today. It started out here, and someone asked, what's the ES going to do? And I said, it's probably going to go down into the zone, just right there. And it did. It went down into the zone. It pulled back a little bit, went back into it, and just stayed there for a while. Came out of it, went back into it, and now it looks like it's trying to pull away from it a little bit. It's just a horrible market right now. Yeah, that market is just a mess. All right, so back to the spreadsheet. Again, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 21st of July. 4 ticks on beans, 6 ticks on the euro, 4 ticks on crude, 13 ticks on gold. That is a gross of 257.50. And took 23 minutes and 2 opportunities to get to $100 a contract, and took a total of 9 opportunities today. Monthly profit, $22.15. That's over 13 days, averaging $170 per day. On the year now, we're at 21,150. That's over 135 days, averaging 156 per day. 156 per day. Okay. All right. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page here at cfrn.net, and right up here at the very top, this banner is going to drop down where it says click here. If you click there, and here put in your first name, your email address, click on register now. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that confirmation link, you will not get the free trial because we don't know you took the trial until you do that. All right? All right. With that, Dwayne, I don't know if you are present or accounted for.
Yep, I'm right here.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, then I think we can go out to Studio A, fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking the nation's largest city park.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. All right. And Robin is in the audience.
Okie doke.
Okay.
Yeah, that audio issue on the other computer just not going away today.
Okay, and I can see your charts.
Yeah. The audio and video is good on this computer, but the other the other one. It's just kind of odd. All right, so recap of the recap.
Today it took 23 minutes and 2 trades to get to $100 per contract.
23 minutes, 2 trades. Yesterday took 1 trade, so good job.
Okay, thank you.
For those of you that can see the screen, price ran up to the weekly trading zone right off the London Open at 75.76, and then made a beeline down to the weekly trading zone below at 63.64. Consolidated there for 2 hours. These are 30-minute candles. Now it's attempting to work its way back up. So that's kind of where we've been the last couple of days, is in that upper zone. So it's been today there was no news, correct, Michael, to move the market?
Yeah, no news at all. Nothing in the U.S. All Canadian news today.
Okay.
Let's see what Monday's bringing for news. I'm just curious what next week's news week is going to be like, because this week was so bad. 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Well, we have some things on Monday. Some things on Tuesday.
Now, Robin, I don't see a microphone or telephone icon by your name. So, do you have your mic plugged in? Because I was getting ready to open up your mic. Oh, it might be because...
It says connected to audio.
Yeah, I think it's because that computer where I would normally do that, it's not connected to audio.
Okay, well, I just opened up our mic.
Okay, all right. So Robin, you got an open mic. It's open mic night. Hey,
there she is. Okay.
How are you?
Oh, terrific.
It's been a long time since we heard from you.
Yeah, it's been a while for sure. Well, we're back and we're cooking and lots of things going on.
Well, tell us all about it. Tell folks who you are. There's a lot of people in the audience who don't know you and don't know the history that you've had with CFRN and just all the exciting things you've done in your life. So tell them all about it.
Try to do the Reader's Digest version.
Okay.
It's been about 25 years since I've been involved in trading as a trader's coach. I work on the psychology of trading, and the past 9 years I've been kind of hidden on Wall Street at a hedge fund called Tudor Investments under non-disclosure, and now I'm a free agent because I've left the firm, and I am reestablishing my contacts with trading rooms. I was speaking on CFRN for quite a while and doing the psychology part, and I'm now again redoing a lot of studying and exploring why we do things the way we do and adding new information to the psychology part of trading, because it's a huge piece that a lot of people don't realize affects their profitability, how they absorb information, how they make their changes. And so now I'm getting a little bit more into how the brain works, why we do the things we do, and applying that to the trading knowledge that I've had for 25 years. So for 25 years, I have been coaching traders of all levels, beginners right through to very high-end traders that make close to, my biggest trader, I think, was 170 million a year. And so what was interesting, the interesting thing that I found in working through all different levels of traders is that the psychology is still the same, no matter where you are. And so seeing the patterns that have occurred over time of why we get into trading, how we do it, and what we do, and how we go to manipulate it to be profitable, that's the challenge so many traders have. So I have reconnected with Dwayne in the room to do a webinar on Monday where I'm going to go through some of the things that beginners should absolutely be aware of. And from there, I'm going to some of the psychology pieces that you need to address. And then I'm going to make some special offers to people that are in the room who want additional information, and kind of do an overview of, you know, what you really need to look at when you're doing any kind of methodology and how to maximize what you're learning in the CFRN room. Because, you know, you can have the best instructions, and this is what I've seen across the board in different trading rooms. You know, why do 100 people go to a workshop and they get these methodologies of how to trade the market, and when they go home, it doesn't seem to work? What's great about the room that you have here is Michael's so specific about how he enters the trades and what they're looking at, and how you should get in and get out of a trade, and, you know, what to look for. And he explains things so clearly, and yet people will go home and try to simulate the same thing, and sometimes it doesn't work. And so, you know, why is that? And so that's the answers. Those are the answers that I look to find for traders, because everybody loves the business. There is lots of opportunity, and you have to manage your mindset. But so few people take any time to do that. And I'm dedicated to it. And you know, from my background that I've been doing it for many, many years. And so just noticing the patterns and noticing what people do and noticing what their obstacles and their challenges have been, have given me the opportunity to find the solutions mentally that can overcome those fears. And they usually come down to a fear. So that's kind of my background. And I said to Dwayne that I would, you know, have no problem if people wanted to ask questions. Now I'll do a small Q&A, but we will do that little webinar on Monday where I go through the presentation so I can really explain things. But I'm happy to answer any kind of psychology questions or challenges that you're having. And there's always a little bit of hesitation to put it up there, and, you know, nobody's going to mention your name or anything like that. And know that what you're going through, mostly everybody, almost 100% of the people out there have gone through it at one point in time. So you asking the question whether you're new or experienced is not a sign that you don't know what you're doing. It's a sign that you want to make things better, because the only way that you can make things better is by asking the question and getting some kind of solution or some kind of a resolution to something you can try in the future. So I would like to open it up to questions to anybody, or Dwayne or Michael, if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to do that.
Well, someone had asked a question. Pete said, welcome back. Are you going to open up your website again?
My website is open. My website's open. It's not closed, I hope, unless something's happened. I'll have to check it, but my website should be open. We are going to be revamping it, but it should be open. If you do robindane.com, it's there. And there are some, I can guide you right now to, if you go to media and you go to videos, there's some free videos on there of things that I've done in the past that are still relevant. That's the great thing about the psychology. Nothing's really changed on the psychology side. And if you go to the robindane.com site, ROBINDAYNE.com.
There we go. I'm bringing it up on the screen. There we go.
Okay. So it shows. And then if you go under media, just go to
media. Got it. Mm-hmm.
And then videos.
Got it.
You'll see that
the site looks good.
Yeah. So, and it's fine. So I'm not quite sure what the deal is. Also on the site, in the top right-hand corner, you'll see in green the little head with the wheels. Test your trading emotions. You have the opportunity to do a free take an emotional trading test that will allow me to look at what you're doing and give you an idea of some of the things that may be holding you back. And this gives, I can evaluate, and I do that for free, to evaluate what's going on with you. And, you know, again, I've worked with very high-end traders. I haven't changed anything on the site yet. I'm relaunching everything, and prices will probably be going up. You know, I'm going up the food chain, unfortunately, but I still want to offer to new people some options that they can do to get them started, because I've been very dedicated to traders my entire life, and I don't, you know, my prices may seem high, but they're not as high as my competitors that are at the same level that I am. And I keep trying to, you know, give some kind of value for what the price is. But my high-end guys that, you know, they've increased their prices, kept going up and up and up, and they don't help the average person who's looking to start. And I really do love this business, or I wouldn't have been in it for so long. And there's very few coaches that have lasted in the business this long. They usually burn out, or they get disenchanted with it, or whatever. And I just, this is a business that I love. In the meantime, I had done a nonprofit. I'd worked with the homeless in Las Vegas, and we did some very good work there, helping probably close to 6,000 homeless people. And we're now transitioning what I was doing to some other firms that are going to take that over, and I'm going back to the coaching full time. So I'm going to really be doing some strong videos. I'm going to be doing some YouTube stuff, and I'm very excited about it. And working with some firms in New York, again, that you know, are higher end. But I still want to assist those that are just starting out, because it really does have an emotional impact on your life, your profitability, and how you're learning. And so I want to give you the best shot that you can. So are there any questions? I hope. And your questions will help everybody else. So don't be shy.
Let's take a look here.
Okay.
See what we got. Pete says, great to hear your voice again, Robin, like a blast from the past. I'll visit the site.
Thanks,
Gene
Pete.
says, is Robin still offering the interactive coaching for $1,000?
Yes. Well, it's not $1,000, but I'm going to give you guys a special deal come Monday. So I'm doing something specially only for CFRN. It's not on the website. You're going to have to call me, but it's cheaper than the price that's there. Again, I want to help the people that have been stuck or are challenged, and I you know, am looking to give something back to Dwayne for help, for allowing me to be on the show. And so I want to do it to all of his clients, guests, and those that are going to be there. So, you know, definitely come back on Monday. I think are we doing it at this same time on Monday?
Well, we can do it at 11:30 on Monday, or we can do it. Does that
fine.
work for you?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Or 11:30. I'm sorry. Actually, it would be. Why don't we do it at? Why don't we do 12:45 Monday?
Okay, 12:45
Eastern.
So that's So that's 9:45 my time. And so we'll do that, and I'll do. I want to create things. So if you had topics, and this is what I'm going to put out now, I'd like to add some topics that you'd like in there, because I have a really huge broad brush of topics I can put in there. And I'm revamping the show, especially for Dwayne's group, for your CFRN group. And so if you have specific questions that you'd like more information on, then please feel free to type those in now, and I will include them for Monday. Because I want to target what your needs are. I have so many different topics that we can go through and give you solutions for. So this is your opportunity to get a very specific thing and for you to help other people, because like I said, if you're going through it, then 100% of the people in the room are going through it or will go through it at some point in time. because these are all the challenges that as traders we go through. Now, I'm also a trader, so a lot of these things I've gone through myself. And I was a trainer for Tony Robbins for 8 years, and then I went on the road with Tony for 1 year solid. And I took a lot of his techniques in neurolinguistics and have, read and learned and researched more over 25 years beyond that, and have taken those techniques but modified them for traders specifically. And a lot of them, when I went through myself, I did on my own to help myself, because I went through the same issues. And so as I documented what was going on, then I also worked on myself, and it works, and I have a tremendous success rate. And one of the techniques that I work on, that's one of my specialties that I always get called for, is breaking a fear. And a lot of the things that you're doing or not doing when you're trading will come down to one fear, a fear-based thought. And your thoughts are very powerful, but we don't realize that what's in our mind is something that we don't normally manage. And when you think about, and this was a great statistic that I always use, 70% of your reactions come from your subconscious memory. 70%. So that means you're on autopilot 70% of the time when you're making your decisions to trade. 70%. Now the thing is, if you don't learn to be in your conscious mind, which means you want to do one thing and stick to it and do it, versus I want to do this type of an entry, let's say, but you wait or you're hesitating, that's coming from a subconscious fear. So it's very, very critical that you learn to manage your subconscious memory that's gonna react all the time, and be able to be in your conscious mind and make a different decision and react quickly. Because sometimes, I mean, today I was watching, the room and Michael's calls, and there are times where you can miss out on a trade because of your timing and the fear that you have. Like, I'm afraid I'll be wrong. That's a huge fear that traders have, or I'm afraid I won't be right. And those come down to your background and your beliefs and how you've been raised, what your beliefs are about money, success and failure, being right and being wrong, and all of those things. And I know that the people that are there, and I love and thank you for welcoming me back, Pete and the other guys. I really appreciate that. I find that even though I've talked about these things many times, that traders forget them. So I am repeating myself in some cases, but the repetition is important because all of it is relative to your trading. Everything is relative to what you're doing, how you're trading, and will enhance your trading success. And it's very important to understand these concepts, and maybe you'll address them now, and maybe you'll address them at another time, but at least you'll be aware that when you're having challenges, it doesn't come down to, oh, I must be stupid because everybody else is doing it, why can't I? And that probably can come down to, what's in your head already. And that's what a lot of people tell me. They say, I don't want to even say anything to anybody because they seem to be getting it and I'm not getting it. And I'm going, well, then let's work on what's happening with you specifically. And sure enough, it'll come down to something that they have stuck in their mind, in their subconscious, from something in their past, and now they're dealing with it with trading. Trading, for some reason, and this one I'm still working on, this question. For some reason, trading brings to the surface all of your inefficiencies for going into a trade and going out of the trade from your past life and the past thoughts that are in your mind. All this bubbles up to the surface when we put money on the line or this is a new change in career. A lot of people that were very high-end professionals in another life, and they go to change to this, get very frustrated. That's probably the biggest word that I hear. I hear, I know that there's fear. I know that there's fear. Maybe somebody may not analyze themselves to say they know that they're in fear. But the biggest word that I constantly hear across the board is I'm so frustrated. And when I ask the question, well, why are you frustrated? They say, because I know what I'm supposed to do and I can't do it. And so immediately I know that they're blocked by a fear. And immediately I know that we have to change some mental aspects of their subconscious memory, because they're reacting from that 70% of the time. And so when we do a one-on-one session, that's what we do. We remove that. But that's what I want to go through when we do the session on Monday. Do we have any other questions by a chance?
Pete was wondering if you're still working with the fire and rescue guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not working with fire and rescue, but I am still a Las Vegas Metro volunteer. And I've been doing some other things that are related to helping with the church. There's a different organization here that is working with, they're taking refugees in, and when they arrive in the States, they don't have anything. I mean, they have nothing. And so I've been working with that facility and passing over some of the things that I had from my nonprofit and working with them to help. And they ended up doing a very interesting concept, and I'll pass this on for people that are, want to see, maybe want to do something in their community. They worked out a deal with the airports to receive the unclaimed luggage after a certain period of time. I guess the unclaimed luggage, doesn't get found by their original owners, and they eventually they're giving it to this organization because it helps them with clothing and things that they might need to help these refugees that are coming in. So that, locally, if you have an airport and you have a connection with a nonprofit, that might be a good connection for you to hook into, because it seems to be very good. And who knows what's in the luggage? You can find it. It's almost better than Storage Wars. You can find some treasures in there.
I watched that show for a while, and then finally the formula just started to wear me down, and I stopped watching it. Eugene says, do we have to wait till Monday, or will she tell us now what the new price is, and how do we sign up? It's up to you if you want to save that till Monday. Or you can just give your contact info, and Eugene can reach out to you.
What I'd like you to do is, if you have an immediate challenge, I can handle it immediately because I'm going to be working all weekend. So if you do have an immediate challenge and you know emotionally that you're stuck, you can give me a call after we get off the air, and the number's 702-616-3744. And what we'll do is we can get you started, and I will, give you the new pricing, that I'm gonna offer, and so you'll get a good deal. But if you do know, the ones that know that they're stuck, the ones that know that they're challenged by their emotions, and because they're probably another big thing that I get called on. People will say, I had one person call me, they say, I'm frozen, I'm paralyzed, I can't pull the trigger. And that's what it comes down to. Fear builds up and builds up and builds up. It's like a snowball. Unless you fix it, it doesn't go away. It just gets bigger and bigger. And it'll depend on how much you're losing. If you've lost very big, and when I say big could be only $1,000 if your relationship to cash and you're new, is $1,000 means a lot to you. Now, if I said to one of my hedge fund guys that are trading millions of dollars, they lose $1,000. They don't even think about it.
Right. Yeah, it's real. $1,000 is relative, just as $1 million is relative.
Exactly. So I call that a dollar threshold. There's a threshold that we all have, and it's different for every single person. A dollar threshold is something they hit and can't get through. So I'll have a trader call me and they'll say, you know, I can make $700,000 a year. I can't seem to get over $1 million, because $1 million is their dollar threshold. And so they butt up against it, and then their mind stops them. I had a woman who had a company, a very successful high-tech company, sold it and started to trade. And she called me up, and she had put $50,000 into a trading account, and she had worked it up. She did very well, and she worked it up to 80,000. And every time she hit 80, I call it sabotaging and trading loosey-goosey. She started doing all sorts of strange things, and the count came all the way back down to $30,000, and she would add in another 20,000 because she made a couple $1 million on this sale of her company. And so she was going through the seesaw cycle of going up to 80,000, come back to 30, adding 20, going back to 80,000, come back to 30, adding 20. So that was her threshold. And so what I did with her, which was really interesting, was I had her split and take out money from her account. When she hit 80, she had to take $30,000 out first to bring it down to the 50, and put that $30,000 into a mirror account, a separate account that was mirrored, right? And so she calls me back in like a couple of weeks. She says, I can't believe it. I said, what's that? She says, I've hit 80,000 3 times, and I've transferred, you know, $90,000 already. That is now being mirrored in the second account, and I just trade that account. That's 50,000 because that's her dollar threshold. Now, over time, she'll start to stretch, like the guy who was trading 700,000 going to $1 million. Finally, he stretched a little bit, and he finally hit the $1 million. And so your mind has to start to expand through the help of coaching. We can do that to expand past a level. Now, people that have that challenge of pulling the trigger and the fear is so big, they definitely need coaching, because you won't get over that hurdle with your subconscious triggering that fear. You just won't get over it, is the challenge. You can't, there's no way you can get over it. And so the subconscious mind's going to react. And I always use that analogy of the candle. If you never experienced a candle before, and I said, put your hand over that candle, you're going to love this. And you put your hand over the candle and you get burned, you go, ouch. In that moment got formed a neural connection, gets put into your subconscious memory, and it gets stored there. But it's the size of a thread because it's new and different and you've never experienced it before. Then I say to you, you know, I don't know, that's really weird. Here's a list of 1,000 people that have done it before you. Do it again. So you trust me, I give you some more evidence. You've only done one experience. And so you put your hand over the candle a second time, you get burned, you go, ouch. Well, then what happens is the first neural connection attaches to your second one and your second from your second experience. And it's now no longer a thread, but it's a cable. It's as thick as a cable. It compounds like a snowball rolling down a hill. So the third time I say to you, you know, put your hand over that candle. I don't know what's wrong. You're going to immediately say what, Dwayne?
I can't say that on family radio.
No way. No way I'm going to do it. So your brain immediately goes into what I call protection mode. This is this amazing, amazing mechanism that we have in our brain that if we know we're going to go into harm's way, our brain stops us and goes, warning, warning, danger, danger. And so you'll say, no way, or you'll say something else. If I grabbed your hand to put it over the candle, you'll pull it away. And you have the emotions of apprehension, fear, hesitation, all in a nanosecond. This all processes in a nanosecond, and you react. And so if you know you're going into harm's way, your brain stops you. So when we lose at a trade, depending on how the pain level is, depending on how your dollar threshold is, if your dollar threshold is very small because you're new, and this is what happens with new people a lot, oh, I lost 100, lost 100, lost 100, lost 100. Well, that compounds over time. But if you go in there and you lose 5,000 and you were reacting to 100, it's going to stop you dead in your tracks, because that was a huge emotional trauma with a loss. So losing is a huge part of creating the fear that traders go through. Yet losing is something that we need to embrace, because it's something we can't avoid. There's not one trader that I know out there that has not lost ever. And if they tell you that, they're lying.
Right.
They're lying. However, the amount you lose compared to the amount that you win is the key. So that's why money management is so critical when you're trading. And understanding how to do all these things at one time is a lot for the brain to, comprehend, because you're looking at methodologies, you're looking at money management, you're looking at tracking your trades, you're looking at how to fix things, how to make things better. You guys have a lot of things on your brain, and you're on hyperdrive. And one of the key things that I always try to impress upon people, and I've gotten more into this over time, is water. Your bodies are made up of 70-75% water. And you must hydrate yourself, especially because you're processing in your brain so much information at one time. You have got to drink water. If you go into what I call the blank stare, you look at the screen and all of a sudden you realize the trade went past you and you were staring at the screen for 5 minutes and you didn't even move. You are in what I call trader's trance. And it's a specific physiological warning that you do not have enough water. If you go into that blank stare, water is what you need to be drinking. Not coffee, not Gatorade, water, H2O. H2O. You need to hydrate when you're doing this much processing. So, those are the things that we go through. So, yes, I'm very available. If you feel that you have something going on right now and you want to handle it immediately, please feel free to call me. If you are not sure you have something going on, but you want to test it, go onto the website and take the free trader's test. And then if you want to wait for all that to happen, then come back on Monday. And we'll go through some of these really good areas. I'm going to try to, hit all. I'm going to try to hit the beginner part, and I'm going to go to the intermediate stages, and then I'm going to go into the psychology, and then, give you, the special deal thing. So if you have anything like that, that you want to wait for that, that's fine too. But don't stay stuck, because it doesn't go away, unfortunately. And that is the #1 reason traders fail. And they can blame it on the methodology. They can blame it on, I spent money here and I did this. It's not true. It's the fear and their ability to execute what they're learn properly and execute, that is having the challenge, because they rush into a trade. They're afraid to miss out. That's a biggie. I'm afraid to miss out. And so they get in too soon, or they get into a trade. They don't let it materialize to where the target level is. And so they exit too soon because they're afraid they're going to lose again, or they're afraid they're going to lose more money. And so all of those things are triggered by fear, and it is the main reason that traders fail. And they don't understand why, because they're looking at the methodology thinking that that's the only thing that's going to do it. You must have your mind in control. And that's what we're going to talk about. Are there any other questions?
No, that's it for now. But guys,
Okay.
12:45. Spread the word. Robin will be back on Monday and do a little mini webinar. And I have put up her website on the screen and the contact information, email address, phone number, everything. Just hit the contact us tab. Yeah.
Let me give you a different email. That's going to go to my website.
Okay.
And I want to be able to handle these, quickly.
Sure. Go right
so
ahead.
I'm going to give you my private email is RD for Robin Dane, the word coach, COACH, the number 22 at yahoo.com. So rdcoach22 at yahoo.com. I don't know if you can type it in the message area.
I can put it in the chat box.
Yeah, so rdcoach22 at yahoo.com. And again, I've been very, very dedicated to helping traders over these hurdles because I've seen some great traders that have given up right when they were making the turn of success because they couldn't manage their emotions. They call me up and they go, Robin, I can't do anything right. And I go, well, what do you mean? And they, well, I can't do anything right. I said, oh, so you lost all your how many trades did you take? Oh, I took 7 trades. And I'll say, well, you lost it all 7. Well, no, I lost at 5. And I'll say, well, what did you do what did you do? And so they explained what they did at 5, and they go, oh yeah, they're all the same. And that's another thing that we do as human beings. We love patterns. They do the same exact error over and over and over. And I know you're sitting there smiling. I can feel it. Over and over, the same exact challenge. And then I go, well, great. Now that you know what not to do, don't do that. And then they say, I can't stop. So I can't stop.
Yeah.
I'm just hooked. I can't stop.
It's kind of like, hey, Doc, I broke my arm in 3 places. Well, stay out of those places.
Yeah, it's like the bag of Oreos. Oh, I'm only going to have 2. I can't stop. So these are techniques and things that the human body is taking over when you trade. And most people have no knowledge of this. They just don't know because they've been successful in another field. They feel that they can, if they're smart enough there, they can do it here. But your mind comes into this equation more than almost any other, unless you're doing some kind of competitive sport. This will challenge your mind. Trading will challenge your mind, and you must manage this. And so that's my goal, is to teach you those things that will allow you to do that.
Well, Robin,
any other questions?
Well,
Nope.
Pete said he liked the way you incorporated your age into your private email address, so I thought that was cute.
You're so cute.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm getting ready to bring our other guest, John, on.
Okay.
So I'll bid you adieu, and we'll see you Monday at 12:45 Eastern. Okay?
Okay, great, Dwayne. You guys all have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.
You do the same. All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
It's good to hear from you. It's been too long.
Yeah, you too.
All right, take care. Okay, okay, Robin's muted her own mic, so let me open up John's mic. And John, welcome to the show.
Hi there.
Good. Yeah, that was Robin. She used to be a regular on the show a while back. I don't think you've ever had a chance to talk with her.
No, I haven't.
In fact, we haven't spoken to her in quite a long time. But she did some. She used to work for Paul Tudor Jones and a couple other hedge funds on Wall Street, along with some private stuff. So, yeah. So anyway, how are you today?
Well, I kind of did an all-nighter again, so I had to grab a few hours early this morning. Just like we didn't miss too much market-wise. I actually got lucky. We sold and shorted the Nasdaq and all the indices last night, right after the close, and had this tumble that down this morning, which I was a little bit, I was forewarning about, because you remember we talked about this palindrome day back, the anniversary of the July 19th top in 2007, and actually, as it turns out, we've had so far a little bit of a pullback off a very strong July 19 this year, and a strong 20 yesterday. And as you know, the 21st of July is my window. From 21 July through 21 of August is our topping out window, if you like. That doesn't mean to say we're going to top out today or tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday, but it means that we might get some tops developing during that time that could be good trading opportunities. And the FANGs got came back yesterday quite strongly, and this morning, and we went back along the FANGs a couple of hours ago to when the market turned, and covered. We didn't get the very low because I was actually horizontal when that happened, but we got back in at about 58.99 on the Nasdaq, and here we are at 59.17 now, looking pretty good. And I sort of said, things are back on track. We're not 100% back on track yet. Some farmers are doing very, very well today. And look, a fairly easy trade to consider is this Clovis. It had quite a correction, but it just came down to and made a kind of a double bottom yesterday against its gap low. So remember, this stock gapped up about 50% and had a run up to 96 or so where we sold it. Came back down to 85 for 85 yesterday, and is back up today. And we actually went long, somewhere around the 85.5 area yesterday, maybe even as low as 85.25 actually on the Clovis. So I'm pretty happy about the way. Actually, we just sold it a while ago up at 88 to 375. It's down to 87.75 right now, but I would definitely be looking to buy either the next dip or the secondary dip on this stock, because it's a very dynamic situation. And when it sort of gets its next burst of upward momentum, which probably could happen next week going into the end of the month, it really could suddenly be over 100 before you know it. And I think that's where it's going. I think it could go up to 110 or 120. Another one is Loxo, is acting pretty well. Guild, you and I, we call the lows on this Guild down around 62 some weeks ago, and it's up to 74.30 today. This is a really dynamic situation, and when you've got a stock that's running into earnings as strongly as this stock is, it probably means that it's going to be, the earnings. Obviously, the stock's been in an incredible bear market, and this is the company that has got this cure for hepatitis C, and it's advertising on TV about the baby boomers. Some percentage of baby boomers, 10% or something, has this supposedly this hepatitis C. Mm-hmm. And you'll die from it if you don't get it cured. So that's right. And it's a lot of money, to get it cured. It costs about 100.
The previous solution was something called interferon, which worked for some people, didn't work for all people, but you had to take, I think, an injection every week. And I had an employee who was on interferon, and it made her deathly sick every time she had to take it.
Yeah,
but she ultimately got better. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a huge deal, and obviously, maybe it's taken a while for the traction to sort of get going on this stock, but I think this stock's got a lot of upside. It's sort of, if you go and look at CELG, it's kind of where CELG was not so long ago. I think we were buying it certainly around near 100 or even below. I'm not sure if it got below 100, but we were definitely buying the lows on CLG a while back. And it's had a tremendous run upwards. So has Amgen, another one. And Blue is acting well. Puma they just got FDA approval for some treatment. So, it hasn't really responded just yet, but it looks like it's not too, I wouldn't call it too risky a stock right now. and it's one that could suddenly take off with this kind of pharma boom. Google is kind of strange, you know. Yesterday they were knocking the heck out of it, and today it's sort of back up on top, and of course, you know, there's so much momentum on upward momentum on Netflix because of its incredible numbers that it keeps, you know, it had a small pullback which we bought, and it's powering on to, I think, to new highs again today, or towards new highs. And Facebook is the same. I honestly think, say, Facebook's going to hit 175 here any day, and might even go more, you know, because they continue to get, you know, this WhatsApp. They're going to monetize this WhatsApp. They've got over 1 billion users of WhatsApp. The Instagram is massive. They got about 1.5 billion users there, or something, some crazy number. And it's, you know, they're going to end up with if they haven't got 2 billion already, they're going to end up with 2 billion users pretty soon. And that's going to mean, you know, they're going to figure out ways to monetize more and more what they're doing without, you know, necessarily upsetting the audience, you know. So and actually Twitter, we actually sold Twitter yesterday we said it might go to 21, and we sold it up around 2080, 2075. It's come back down. I still think it's a buy on this dip, this next dip here. I'm pretty sure Twitter is going to beat its numbers just like it did the last quarter. You know, the first quarter 3 months ago, Twitter added 9 million subscribers. If you look at the president's Twitter, various Twitter feeds, they probably added another 10 million subscribers since or 10 million followers. I mean, he's basically gone from 15 million to 34 or 35 on the real Donald Trump, and he's gone from 12 or somewhere up to 19 on the other one. So he's pulling in followers at an unbelievable rate. It's going up about 100,000 a day, which is amazing. And it just, every day after day after day, it just goes up 100. Every day or two, it's 100,000 more. So I think that's actually going to reflect very well on the Twitter. And they're doing some interesting things. You know, they may come out with some monetization ideas soon that could, you know, finally get it into a position where it's becoming more of a you know, real money-making stock. And look, I wouldn't underestimate.
They tried selling advertising, but for whatever reason, they just didn't seem to have a lot of success with it.
You know what? I think they're going to figure out some things that are going to work. You know, over time. So and somebody, you know, it's kind of a no-brainer. This Twitter is here to stay, and I think that you know, Trump is doing a huge job of you know, promoting Twitter, if you like. And you know, look at all the other presidents now around the world who are using Twitter pretty aggressively for most things. Just everybody's using it for one thing or another. So it's really got this thing's you know, I think it's a no-brainer buy for Facebook or Google or Microsoft or somebody like that. So they're going to buy this thing. It's a you know, I mean, they could have bought it at $14 not so long ago, or even lower. It was absolutely a screaming buy back then. You know, it was a pretty cheap acquisition. Now it's got a lot more expensive. So, you know, somebody's got to buy Twitter. Stock's probably going to go to $30, I think, or something like that, before it goes. By the way, one of the interesting things about this pullback that we've had, because I noticed you just pulled up the NASDAQ there a second ago.
Yeah, here's
did you see those spikes underneath? You know, we had a kind of a high quality bottom this morning, and we had a sort of you know, if you go back to yesterday, you'll see the same thing happen. We had these sort of testing spikes, and I think the next breakout above 59.30 area 32 is going to probably be a big one, and it look, it might be I think Google's reporting on Monday. You know, if Google reports good numbers or really good numbers, that's probably going to push the Nasdaq up quite a, you know, we're going up to 6,000 on the Nasdaq futures. I think as we get closer and closer here, it's basically baked in the cake, and that's, you know, that's a pretty good trade. By the way, our coffee trade is going great. I would definitely go home long coffee this weekend in case something, you know, happens down in Brazil or Colombia or somewhere like that. The coffee, I mean, think about it, was 115.5 literally 6 weeks ago when we called the bottom, and it's at 136.40 now, 50 actually, and it's not giving up much ground, you know, and neither is the gold for that matter, which is really, you know, our formula worked perfectly last night. You know, the buying window from 8 p.m. to midnight came in right on track, and I said if you go long gold early in the night, you might be richly rewarded. I think you probably were on your right, on your trade, and the silver is picking up here, you know, very steadily, slowly and steadily. The one sort of wild, you know, thing that's not going quite as expected right now, and we are actually short, is the palladium. We've been short since the highs, but we've been scalping it and things quite successfully. But it's in a bit of a swoon today. I don't think it's terminal. It could probably find some support somewhere in around here, and it might turn out to be a very good buy again. I haven't done any work on it yet, so I'll try and update on Monday as to where it might be worth taking a shot at going back in on the or covering and reversing on the palladium. The copper also ran up pretty strongly yesterday. We sold it overnight at 274, and it's down at the moment to 272 or so. But I think, you know, if it doesn't go much below here, it's probably another buying opportunity on the copper, because if things heat up, in the economy, you know, copper is probably going to go back up. If it gets over 275, I think it'll be on its way to sort of 290, possibly even 3 or even 310, maybe even 330. I think copper could really go places fairly soon. You know, these electric cars, 40% of them is copper. And so I think not necessarily today, but obviously with this new Tesla car coming out, which is supposedly going to sell a lot more numbers than the original Tesla, that could be a game changer for copper. And also Volvo going electric, and some of these other car companies going more electric. But you know, this electric car isn't a slam dunk by any means. You know, I just noticed a report a couple of days ago where GM can't sell any of these electric cars. They made the Bolt. It's not nobody's buying it. So it's not such an easy, you know, the only thing that's going to make electric cars really popular is $100 oil again, you know, and $4 or $5 gasoline. That'll certainly help the electric cars.
That'll do the trick. It sure will.
It sure will. Listen, the other thing that's going on today, really quite strongly, is the currency. We've got very lucky. We bought the pullback in the currencies yesterday, and that you know, the gold ran up to 95. In fact, I think I said on the show it sort of tested that 95 area, which was a big breakdown area, and we shorted it again up around 94.80 or so, and it's in a free fall now, as we've been saying it's going to be. We're just going through 93.750. We're long up to our eyeballs on especially the Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, the euro, The others are just kind of not getting in the swing of it at the moment. The Aussie dollar and the Canadian, it's a much more difficult trading market. You've kind of got to buy the scalps and things. The gold, the crude rather, you know, we got a little, we did buy them for a little bit of a bounce yesterday, and then we sold them and went back short. And we're still short the gasoline, but we are covered we're just on the point of covering now on the crude and the heating oil, although I wouldn't, you know, I would be ready to exit that trade. I just put some buy stops in right at the lows a short while ago, but I would be ready to get back out of those if we go any lower. It's sort of a bit of a dichotomy going on, because obviously with the dollar weakening, you sort of scratching your head and saying, why isn't the crude stronger? But there are other factors at play at the moment. The other surprise is the Treasury bonds, which honestly, when it tanked yesterday, I thought we might be on our next you know, downer, and that was one of the reasons why the market got weak yesterday during the day. The Nasdaq might be running into a little bit of resistance here at 5920. I think that you need to, you know, we're not the other indices are, you know, they're fairly in the red today, and if they start dragging the things down, you could have a bit of a problem. So I would be careful here, just at the moment. Now, you know, it might just be a pullback. If we start going back above 59.20 later on, then you know, we could have a really good finish today. But the fact that we're still, you know, right now we're really just in a rally off this morning's dips, even in the Nasdaq, but much more so in the mid cap and the Dow and the S&P, which are not acting very well at all. And but I would also look, if we start to see the bonds go down again, and we've got a sell stop just under. So actually, when the bonds went down yesterday, just as a matter of prudence, we put a buy stop in, just, you know, not that far above the market. And fortunately, we got caught back in. You know, we went reversed from short back to long on the bonds, and we've ridden it all the way back up, which is, of course, you know, amazing. And you know, we may have to stay. It may go higher still, because it doesn't make any sense when the employment the employment hit a new low. Just one sec.
Elon Musk today said that he has verbal government approval to build a hyperloop between New York and Washington, D.C. Once built, the Hyperloop could shuttle people between New York and Washington, D.C. in 29 minutes. Bitcoin ran up 13% yesterday to $2,576 a coin. The cryptocurrency continues to rally as traders look ahead to the August 1st decision on whether or not Bitcoin will be split in two. For those of you that watch Game of Thrones, I'm not a fan, but the season 7 premiere was pirated a staggering 90 million times. The figure's nearly 6 times as many as the official view count. Yeah. Did you see this news on Elon Musk and the Hyperloop between New York and D.C.? He says he has government approval, and the trip will take 29 minutes.
Well, according to some other news I saw yesterday, some people in the government were surprised that he put that out, because they weren't aware of it. So maybe somebody got blindsided or something. But anyway, well, you know, I mean, I don't think the guy would put a tweet out unless he was pretty sure that he had some kind of a, you know, positive conversation or something. But it's no, it's phenomenal if that could become a new transportation system. it'd be like the freeways of the 50s, re-engineered into a whole new system in the 21st century could be phenomenal, just going back to the markets at the moment, yesterday the unemployment claims were down 15,000, and interestingly enough, I just saw a report this morning. Canada's employment is down from about 8% down to 6%, or 6.6 or something like that. And Mexico's is down from 4.5% to 3.3%, which is really amazing because it's one of the lowest unemployment rates in the world. I think Poland is the lowest at 2.2% at the moment. And Japan is a pretty low, but 3.3% in Mexico. And in spite of all the drama with Trump, record foreign investment in the last quarter. So if the U.S. companies aren't going to Mexico anymore, somebody else is. Maybe the Europeans and probably Chinese and Koreans. There's a lot of Korean factories in Mexico. It's credit to the administration. The administration is sort of it's kind of like Trump. They're hated by most of the population. The ratings are very bad. And but the guy's doing a phenomenal job. I mean, you got employment down to 3.3%, and he's probably got worse ratings than Trump right now. Speaking of ratings, I think this is a really rigged deal that's going on because the only one that makes any sense is the Rasmussen poll, which actually ticked up a little bit today from 42 to 43. And it actually looks like it's going to turn to the upside here. And maybe, the Scaramucci is going to be the communications guy now. Spicer's gone.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, and look, Scaramucci is a very smart guy. He's not going to take any nonsense from the press, you can guarantee that, because this guy's, sort of a semi-billionaire. He's a very, very successful guy, and he knows how to handle himself. And I think actually that could be quite a good development. He's got a good relationship with everybody, and I don't think there's going to be any skits on Saturday Night Live with this fellow. He's just too cool and too smart for most people. So I think it's a very, very, very good appointment to sort of, be seen to be doing something. And
Trump needs to do something right. This war that he's waging with the Justice Department just doesn't look good.
Well, I think he has a lot of confidence in Scaramucci, and I think he's to have the ear of the president much more in that position. He's a pretty cluey guy, and I think he'll keep Trump out of trouble. But as you and I were talking about it yesterday, there's just absolutely no mileage. Why the heck would you give an interview with the New York Times? Why give an interview with the enemy, for God's sake?
Right,
It's insane. And it's like, can you imagine going on Don Lemon's show and CNN at night? That guy is the last guy on the earth who deserves an interview with the president, It's or all these rat bags on MSNBC.
I guess he's trying to prove that he's not afraid of anybody,
Well, he isn't. And, look, he's going to win in the end. If you don't, remember, you got a guy in here today who's an unconventional president, and he's doing a lot of things differently than anybody ever did before. And people don't like change. They get rattled by it. And that's really what it's all about. But, after a while, people are going to get used to it. And they're in the process of getting used to it. But it's sort of like, you saw those videos where when Trump was leading or he got the nomination, and everybody says there's no way he's going to be president and all this, and they were all wrong. And they're all going to be proven wrong in the end, because I think the guy is really almost offended by this Russian stuff. the fact that he didn't, I think he's completely innocent of anything, as we said on this show for a long time. And when it all comes out in the end, that the whole thing, I mean, it's like, I got to tell you got to go back and look at this video with Smirkonish and Carter Page. Carter Page is nobody's fool. I mean, this fellow, he's a PhD. He went over to Russia in the early days. He worked for Merrill Lynch. He ran the Russian office. He opened up the Russian office for Merrill Lynch in Moscow, and he built up, a big operation there. And he obviously knows a lot of people in Russia, but he also knows that this is a totally false story. And he said the interview with Smirkonish really, he said, look, all this stuff's going to come out in the end, and we're all going to be vindicated, and everybody's going to look really stupid, especially the Democrats. So they're going to end up with it, so much egg all over their faces. And all I can tell you is, thank God we're in this juggernaut of a market right now. Hopefully, it will translate into Main Street, to the benefit of Main Street, in the coming months and quarters. And all I can tell you is, if they get these tax cuts done, and they get the infrastructure deal done, and they get the repatriation of funds from overseas, the economy is going to roar for the next few years. And if the economy is roaring in 2018, in the year and 3 months' time, the incumbents are going to do very, very well in spite of it all. And if the economy is roaring into 2020, this president will probably get a second term, and all of the things will go on accordingly. But we will run into some trouble, in my view, in the early 20s, if not before. I mean, there's nothing guaranteed about anything, but the way we're going at the moment, I mean, look, I don't want to jinx anything or spook anything, but it is kind of interesting that since Trump took over, a lot of the bad things that were happening under Obama are not happening anymore. They're just not happening. There's, a lot of the things are getting fixed slowly but surely in the Middle East. I mean, it's almost like you're really starting to get a sense that his speech in Saudi Arabia is kind of reaping benefits, because things are kind of behind the scenes or whatever, getting back to normal, and the hatred and all that was going on before has sort of, disappeared, mainly, anti-Muslim and all that kind of stuff. It's much more kind of, tolerant these days. The immigration control is absolutely incredible. The drop in border crossings down as much as it is, and the word's getting out now that, I mean, people are getting the memo that it's not even worth trying to come to the U.S. anymore, because you're going to get deported almost as soon as you get over. If you are able to get over the wall or cross the border in some way, your chances of actually finding a job and working without getting found out.
And the Border Patrol agents are excited because they're actually being allowed to do the job they were hired for. Exactly.
So look, you see the way this market's starting to turn down here. This is not a very good development, because this when you start to get a kind of a turn in the market off a really, really strong advance like we've had, the market doesn't give up the highs too easily. It's just like when you're trying to pick a bottom. A lot of times you sort of pick a bottom and you keep the market keeps testing the lows, and you almost give up right before it takes off. This is the same sort of thing where you're having these strong. This is what fooled everybody in '87. We had this incredible roaring market, and people were buying the dips, and everything was great. And then there was one huge rally off a big decline in '87. So it was a big right-hand spike rally, and everybody thought, we're back on track. Next thing you know, the market was in a free fall. and it didn't stop until it was down 20-something percent, 22%. So, you know, we have to be, in spite of my bullishness, now that we're in the 21 window, July 21 to August 21, I'd be pretty careful. Well, look, I'm out of stocks so fast. As soon as they start going down, I'm out, because there's no point in holding a stock that's falling, unless you're in a stock that's, obviously not a trading type stock, but if it's an investment type stock. But in these tradable stocks where you can be in and out in a nanosecond, there's no point in having the market go against you. And we just put out a sell a short while ago at 58.20 when I mentioned it on air, and we're already down to 59.13 right now, and it's starting to fall away pretty quickly. And that's the thing I've noticed about the last couple of days. Like yesterday, you see how quickly, we had a rally yesterday, and then all of a sudden, bam, we were down 20 points on the NASDAQ in a heartbeat. That is telling you then we haven't had any kind of really sharp corrections like that for quite a while. So, I'm definitely turning a little bit more cautious here, since yesterday, actually.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Sean.
Have a great weekend.
You
and
too.
there was a couple. Did you see this game between Manchester United and Manchester City yesterday?
No, I didn't.
It was in Houston. I mean, it's amazing. These Brits come over and they do these sort of. This is the International Championship, I guess, something like that.
Yeah.
And they're filling these stadiums 100% full. I mean, it's amazing. And it was an incredible game. They've got this new Lakuku. They just bought him for about $95 million. And he scored a brilliant goal yesterday. And but he's like a giant, he's an incredible player. And this, normally Manchester, the two Manchesters, Manchester United is a very tough, City's a very tough team to beat, but they beat them square last night. So there was, they've got the Gold Cup playing at the moment, and that's, the other day the US beat El Salvador. Stadium was absolutely packed solid, just like, packed to the reams, which is great. It's great to see that. So have a great weekend.
All right,
and
John.
Manchester United are actually playing Real Madrid this weekend. That could be a really great game. That could be an interesting game to watch. So
Well, enjoy it, and we look forward to talking to you on Monday.
all the best. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, go to our good word for the day. I walked through all the different charts as we were talking. And for anybody that wants to grab a screenshot, I will give you that opportunity right now. We've already walked through each one of the charts. $900 per contract available on gold. I think that was the biggest mover of the day. Okay, good word for the day. Living a balanced life. Mark 6:31. Come to me to a quiet place and get some rest. Sounds like a perfect Friday good word for the day. Heading into the weekend. The Bible says the length of our days is 70 years or 80. Psalm 90:10. If you're blessed to live that long, you'll typically spend an average of 24 years sleeping, 20 years working, 10 years in church and on holiday, mostly holiday, 7 years eating, 6 years traveling, 4 years dealing with sickness, and 2 years getting dressed. Kierkegaard said, the press of busyness is like a charm, seeking to lay hold of ever younger victims so that we are scarcely allowed time for God to develop in us Christian character. Because we're always so busy. It's a mistake to think that rushing through life buys you more time. It doesn't. Apart from keeping your adrenaline pumping and perhaps making you feel and look important, Busyness can be the enemy of your soul. It can rob you of spiritual growth by preventing you from reflecting and examining your heart. We're not talking about the number of things you manage to get done every day, but the quality of your life's product. You can be busy, but not balanced. Hence the scripture, "Come with me to a quiet place." Solitude enables more than rest. It enables transformation. There are 3 kinds of solitude. Number 1, brief intervals experienced daily. Number 2, longer ones involving a few days or more just away from it all. Despite his hectic schedule, Jesus made a habit of withdrawing from the demands of the crowd to spend time with his Father. Did he know something we don't? And number 3, forced rest. Psalm 23, you all know it. He makes lie down. Don't wait until God makes you lie down. Endeavor today to live a balanced life. That's a good word for the day. And that wraps it for this week on this Friday, the 21st day of July 2017. It is the weekend, so by all means, do spend some quality time with your family. Of course, I'll see you all in church on Sunday. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.